Good afternoon and welcome into Update. Update airs every Monday and Tuesday right after the 1 p.m. ABC News. Steve Spooner here for Double K Country, being joined by Cottey College President Dr. Jann Weitzel, and we have a special guest here today as well as the new golf coach, Mark Cole, going to join us as well here today to talk about where the golf program is going to go for Cottey. First of all, I want to thank you both for joining me here today.
Thanks, Steve. We love having the opportunity to come talk to you, talk to the community of Nevada and the surrounding area about everything that's happening at Cottey College.
And recently you had your inauguration. One of the big points that you wanted to talk about was expanding Cottey, making Cottey grow, making it more accessible to more people. And one of the ways you wanted to do that is by expanding the sports programs. Obviously, that's why golf is now becoming a sport over at Cottey. And there's a few other things, as I said, I've talked to Stephanie Beeson. There's a few other things kind of in the works, but there's some things around the area that's got to kind of happen for those other programs to come to fruition. But the sports programs is really what you guys are focusing on right now to help bring in more students.
Exactly. We are looking at the opportunity to move from the NJCAA, which is the Junior College League, into the NAIA so that we can recruit students for 4 years. But so far this year, our sports teams have been doing wonderfully. We had our season opener for basketball on Saturday, won by about 20 points. Volleyball is starting now to draw to a close, so its season's almost over. If you remember, our cross-country track students last year participated at the national level, did amazingly well. They have been plagued by some injuries and illnesses, but they're on the mend, so we have high hopes for that team as well. And then our preseason softball with Mark Scapin has just been amazing. We're very excited about season starting in the spring. But with me today is Mark Cole. We are starting 2 new teams in the fall. One will be golf and one will be tennis. Mark is our new golf coach, so I'd like him to have an opportunity to share a little bit about what he's going to be doing in the future.
All right, well, Coach Cole, just give the listeners a little bit of background on who you are and where you're from.
That's fine, Steve. Thanks, and thanks for having us. I actually come from North Carolina. This is my 4th college that I've coached at. I've coached baseball and golf over that tenure. All of the places I've been at have been rebuilding programs. They've been about taking programs that have been doing okay but needed some help to move forward. And the biggest part of that was recruiting. And so recruiting became so important that all 3 of the ones previously have now gone on to national attention as far as their rankings are concerned. I'd like to say that it was my coaching, but I think it's more just about how we've recruited into the program. And we brought in some good, solid people and opened up some new territories. The new opportunity here is essentially the same thing. We need to open up territories to bring in players to look at Cottey, see the value of the education, and then also the opportunity of the golf program. I still contend everywhere I go, you can build a national contending program no matter what town you're in. And even a small town, you can make it very, very special. It just means that you need to surround yourself with solid student athletes that understand the importance of academics, athletics. And also I'm looking for people that are socially in tune, making sure they're committed to community services and being a bigger piece than just golf.
All right, and now with you're essentially building the program here. It's not rebuilding; it's building the program. Right. So there's a little bit of a difference because you don't have that past to look back on to recruit. Right. So how much more difficult is it going to be to recruit those players to come to Cottey?
It's very cool opportunity, to be honest with you, because now you can put your footprint on it. You can make sure it has a solid foundation, as opposed to maybe some things in the past at other places might not have been so sturdy. So now you get to make a very solid foundation to build upon. And once you get that first class in, then it starts to roll from there. So even though it's tremendously different, there's a lot of similarities to it too, in the fact that you need to promote what it is you are and where you're going. And that's truly where, the opportunity here is.
And obviously we have a very good hotbed of golf around this area, especially a lot of schools around here very good, especially on the girls' side of golf. So it gives you a little bit of an easement into that to be able to look around the area and go, all right, I have some areas I know I can scope out to try and bring these in. And obviously you're reaching to communities outside the state even will help bring in more students to Cottey.
Absolutely. One of the things Dr. Weitzel was mentioning about possibly going out to the NAIA, that becomes a huge draw. It's very difficult from outside of the reaches of our local community in the region here to draw folks into a JUCO kind of a program if you're looking at folks from warmer base areas. Once we become an NAIA school, a 4-year academic and athletic institution, now it becomes something that they can really build off of, and they can see the wealth of opportunity. I'm going to lean heavily on local and regional girls in this first year or two. That doesn't mean I haven't already looked beyond it. Right now we have a database of folks that I have seen, girls that I have seen, of over 80 girls that we've been in touch with that I've actually physically seen play. And they're not all from Missouri. So we're looking to bring in as many girls that are competitive as possible. And hopefully that's going to lead into, down the road, the NAIA situation, and then get us into a really strong competitive position.
Now, as far as the first season goes, how is the schedule basically going to break up? I know a lot of times when you see a school come in bringing a new program, a lot of times you see that end up being where your first season basically is there's no real home tournament, no real home meet. It's basically everything's on the road to kind of get that experience, and then that second year you kind of bring that in. Is that kind of what the focus is going to be right now for Cottey?
Yeah, we want to get our feet on the ground. I mean, certainly when I've hosted tournaments before, that's a lot to do while you're in season. So one of the things we want to do is get our feet solid on the ground and hit the road and get ourselves a little settled before we go and host anything. Typically what we'll do is we'll do 3 and 3. We'll do 3 tournaments in the fall and 3 in the spring. The spring is typically when they'll do their championships. So that's kind of how you play it. And that's not atypical from any college program. You're going to look at about 6 to 8 tournaments in a season. Some of those will be one-day tournaments. Most will be a 2-day overnight kind of thing where you're out playing 36 holes. So that's the plan right now. The bigger plan is, and I'm really keeping my fingers crossed with this, we're looking to do an indoor facility that we can train year-round. We know that the weather here is not conducive to play all year round, so we need to have something inside. And there's something in the works right now that will have an indoor training facility, so we can at least do some video analysis. We can do our putting. We can do our full swing work inside during the winter months, which will help build the program to the level we want it to be at.
Now, how many girls are you looking to recruit for this first team?
7 million. I don't think I'm going to get there, but I think the first year it would be nice because having been hired in October here, I'm a little behind in the recruiting setup, which doesn't mean much because that we might be getting girls late. And at a junior college, it's not unheard of to get someone to say, well, you know what, I think I will go to my local junior college. And we're a great example of what they can go to and succeed and have a great opportunity academically and now athletically. So I think the big thing what we're going to have to do to make sure that everything kind of clicks for everyone is just making sure that they see the value of what they're getting to. And that's, I'm guessing the best number, and again, it's hard to pinpoint. You notice I'm kind of tap dancing around that. Ideally, your team wants to be at least 8 players because you travel with 5 and you have 3 girls or 3 women that are going to now compete for those other, compete for those 5 spots. So now it's a competition within your team. If you only have 5, you're stuck with the 5 that you have. And there's no other way to sugarcoat that. You want to have competition so girls can continue to get better, any athlete can continue to get better. And that's what we want to try to do. So ideally, if you said I have 8 girls next year that are competitive, I'd be ecstatic right now. Currently, I have 2, one that's on campus right now, one who's been accepted, and we're just waiting for her enrollment. And then I have, like I said, I've been in touch with about 80 girls within the region, but also outside the region. So keeping our fingers crossed, I'd like to see that anywhere from 5 to 10 girls on the roster.
Oh, well, look forward to seeing what's going to go on with this Cottey program in its first season, and hopefully you can, as you've done in the past, when I've done some research of my own, seeing what you've been able to do in prior positions, hopefully you can bring that sort of prestige to Cottey as well.
Thanks.
Dr. Weitzel, this is going to kind of come back to you. What is it going to take I don't know if you know a lot of the process of what it'll take to become the NAIA school, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that have to go into jumping from the junior college rankings to the NAIA level.
Right, and one of the things that Mark said that I'd like to address is that, there's this misconception sometimes that we still are a two-year school or a junior college, which we are not. We are a baccalaureate institution. We just happen to play at the junior college level. That makes it difficult to recruit because young women sometimes will simply want to go somewhere where they can play for the full 4 years and not have to either give up their sport to stay at Cottey or make their way onto a new team after 2 years, after their first 2 years of eligibility are over. But to move, the first step is to get approval from our Board of Trustees, and we will be having that conversation right after the first of the year. After we receive approval from the Board of Trustees and a financial commitment, we have paperwork that we submit for October, and at that point then we make determinations about which conference we will be a part of. So it's all really exciting and something we're really looking forward to. Now, we are still looking for a tennis coach, so if anyone has any connections out there, we'd sure love to hear from a really good tennis coach.
All right, well, and there's obviously some more things coming up over at Cottey. Your Distinguished Speaker Series is going to continue coming up here very soon. You'll have some other things, a lot of concerts coming up. Obviously, it's about to become that time where finals are about to come due, semester is going to end, and winter break will happen. But still, prior to that, there's a lot still going on over at Cottey.
Well, we would encourage everyone to look at the Chamber of Commerce site, the website. There are so many activities. This weekend was just full of activities, and it's going to, as you say, Steve, just continue that way to the end of the year. Lots and lots of concerts, ball games, all sorts of events. So we really encourage the public to come out. We'd love to see as many people in our auditorium and our gymnasium as we can fill.
All right, well, Dr. Weitzel, Coach Cole, I want to thank you both for joining me here this afternoon to talk a little bit about the new golf program and some of the other things going on over at Cottey College. Again, you've been listening to Update, and Update airs every Monday and Tuesday right after the 1 p.m. ABC News. I'm Steve Spooner for Double K Country.